learn the martial arts?
Big surprise. Huge surprise.
I'm starting to get in a bad mood, you know? Maybe it's like a mood swing, my hormones, I don't know. You know, maybe it's my need to impose my will.
Good evening. You are listening live to the Xtreme Movie Show, the Kickin' It edition. I'm Rob, your host. My guest this time is the real Dr. V, RDV himself. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
We haven't talked too much about the 90s, other than when we got up to Time Cop with JCVD. So we're kind of approaching the 80s from the other side, and I'm trying to keep a straight face because we're going to be doing a deep dive on a very special movie some might call a treat, called Deep Rising with Mr. Treat Williams himself. And this movie is everything the Meg is not. It's entertaining, it's fun, and it didn't make any money at all. And it is so much better. So, we have not talked about Treat Williams. My initial thoughts are about this movie when I saw it, I went, yeah, this is the fun movie that bombed because it's so horrible in such a good way. This is kind of like what Primal was with Nick Cage, but this has got all the 90s juice all over it, including Miss Famke Onatopp running around with CDs in a red dress, really bad CGI monsters. But there was one really creepy scene I want to discuss in detail when we get to it. And of course, Mr. Treat Williams himself, who's a very underrated actor. Here's a guy that reeks of upper New England, Upper East Side bedwetting liberalness, and that's it. And Jay, now that you're here, I've already lost it. Time to summon a GIMP. Let me go ahead and hit that GIMP button right now.
Well, bring out the GIMP.
And he won't be here tonight, so you know what grade he gets? Let me hit the grade button.
0.0.
Did you like that? How can I keep going on this? Wait, I do have you like that.
You like that? You like that?
And of course, the three bank salute.
Diving cutter! Bang! When it's all said and done, there can be only one. Bang!
So, on a more serious note, Deep Rising is the film. This was your suggestion, and I have to sit there and say, after some of the crap that movies that you had mentioned before on your top 10 list that you and E tried to beat me up on, just one or two really, you had to go and totally redeem yourself with this pick of Deep Rising. So tell me, why the hell did you pick it?
Because I came across this the other day. I was trying to figure out what movie I was watching because I'm like I know this movie, and also I was like clicked in my head is like, dude, it's like it's Treat Williams and like freaking tentacles monster. I was like, oh yeah, it's freaking Deep Rising. I was like, I saw this dude when I was 10 years old, and this scared the shit out of me because I'm like, especially when you see the guy gets spit half out, you know, like he's half dissolved.
Yeah.
I was like, so I'm like, from that day I was like, fuck going on the ocean. Because giant squids, just tentacles that have like can just chase you around, they can close and open doors.
Yeah, Treat Williams, he's really good actor is what I was trying to say earlier, and I think for him, whenever I see him in a movie, I automatically take notes because he's one of those guys that I go, you know, the movie might suck, but I want to watch him for his delivery, his performance. He has charisma. He's not what I would call, you know, the masculine alpha kind of type guy, you know, one of those heroes, but he really is in a different kind of old school way. He almost reminds me of like Robert Redford in a sense that he can carry film. Richard Williams has done a lot of things, but I remember that a year after this, he did, I think, Jules Verne. I don't know, not 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, but Journey to the Center of the Earth, I think, as a movie, and it had a couple nights playing on TNT or TBS, something like that, and it was a very good version of it. And he's just, the way he delivers and the way he talks, you can buy him instantly for it. And then here he plays a wisecracking kind of guy that has all these catchphrases like "now what" and all these stupid things. And I started to write down some of these really dumb macho phrases, like you're all out of luck and everything else that everybody says to each other. But I stopped after about 5 minutes because this movie is half written in cliche.
And this has, like I said, a phenomenal cast.
The
You
cast is
got,
great. You're right.
dude, Kevin J. O'Connor. This guy does not get a lot recognition.
And who is he for
Right?
those who may not know?
If you've ever, he in this movie is the guy. He's the ship technician. It's right from the main crew. Treat Williams, like second in command, his best friend.
0.
He's the one that
Point
delivers the comedy throughout the whole
zero.
entire movie. He's also known for The Mummy. He played Ben in The Mummy. He's also in Van Helsing.
That's
played
right.
Igor.
Yes.
Yes.
He's the
Yes.
nerdy guy in here that's the hacker, but he's like supposed to be like 20, but he's bald already. But for some
Yeah,
reason, he's banging the really, really hot Korean girl that gets it, of course.
I know, right? I'm like, yeah, he's been a lot of stuff since then. But he was in I guess he was also in Steel Magnolias. I never watched that.
Pass.
FX2.
Mm-hmm.
But No Escape. He was in there as well. Virtuosity. So, but nothing really much like to that is since today. He does more TV series and stuff. If he's doing anything.
Yeah, he gets a
But
lot of lines in here, and basically the whole setup is Treat Williams has this little small posse of group that's hired, and something along the lines of like, well, if the cash is there, we don't care because they don't ask questions. So they're transporting a bunch of mercs who are going to go to this brand new cruise ship, and they don't know what's going to happen. But the plot is that they're going to actually rob everybody on the cruise ship and then sink it with some of these torpedoes, because the guy who's the captain of the ship, we find out pretty quickly, the ship's not making money. The guy who owns it, not the captain, but the guy who owns it.
yeah,
So he wants, of course, to get the insurance money, and they're in the middle of nowhere. So this is back when CGI was really trying to be shown in everything, and this is why I think, for a lot of reasons, GoldenEye is not that good of a James Bond movie, but the CGI and the graphics in GoldenEye are not good, and they're not good in here either, although they try to do as good a job as they can with the monster that we see a little later.
I'll say the CGI in this movie is better than the CGI we have today. Because, man, they still use props in here as far as special effects, But yeah, the CG was mainly the giant man-eating squid. Like I said, like it's just, this movie is like you're trapped in a freaking ship. There's just these giant tentacles that are basically just like going through and just sneaking onto the water, pulling you, and they're pulling you and it's eating you. The other, I mean, it's a dumb comedy action movie. It's kind of gory, but it's something you can sit down and eat popcorn and just with a friend and just like look at this guy. You're like, watch, this guy's gonna die. Like, oh, here it goes. It's
Yeah, this isn't the kind of movie that like pisses you off or gets you upset like some movies that try to be more than one thing. This doesn't. I mean, Treat Williams tries really, really hard not to crack a smile, I think, all the way through this, and everybody else does whatever their role is. And you don't hate them so much that you're glad that they die. You just know what's going to happen. But at first, with there's a few quips, it almost comes across like it's going to be an action movie. But the thing is, when they get on the ship, something comes up and you don't know what's going on. Something hits the ship, everybody starts flailing about and this and that. They show people like falling off the third or fourth stories on the inside, and it's an Asian themed ship for whatever reason. But there's actually a creepy scene in here, which again, if they had cut down on the quips, you'd get a third of the way through the movie here thinking it's a little dark. There's an Asian lady, and she's on the toilet by herself, the Louvre, if you will, and she's like sitting there, and all of a sudden there's a sound and this real big noise, and she starts screaming, and all of a sudden there's blood getting shot everywhere. She's getting yanked through the friggin' toilet, and that's it, and all the blood splatters all over the the mirror inside. You're like, Did they just do that? Did something just eat this woman whole through the toilet? Yes,
You
is
just
the
sucked
answer.
it pulled it right through the pipe.
Yeah, Eric's saying in
uh,
chat, he goes, if Treat Williams couldn't have done this movie, would they have gotten a substitute? I saw what you did there, and I'd already mentioned it because I am a big fan of the substitute films, and there is definitely not a drop off when Treat Williams becomes a substitute. That's, of course, Tom Berenger in it, but then Treat Williams takes over. Treat Williams, I'm not going to say he's like Tom Berenger somehow, but he's just such a good actor that you just enjoy watching him. And in here, once everybody gets on the ship and then they find out that there's these creatures killing everybody and they don't know what's going on, it's a bunch of shenanigans because you got Famke Onatopp running around just looking gorgeous before the botched plastic surgeries that we talked about, like on Primal with Nick Cage recently. She's in here as like some sort of super thief something with, I don't know, she's got CDs, and I really was just distracted because of course she's wearing the red
eh,
cocktail dress and chewing bubble gum.
yes, yes. She's basically like what you would have got like a version of like the what's her name, Catwoman. Selena Kyle. This is basically what she's basically this woman who came out here to just steal from all the rich, and quietly make her way out. But of course, all this shit happens.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, yeah, this is like it's. I know this feel like your Bruce Campbell movie, your B movie, But with your, like, I would consider most of these people on here B list actors. They're not at the time. Um, I think GoldenEye came out a couple years before this. Like,
This. So
yeah.
she was already a name. I think this is before the first X-Men movie.
Yes, yes. So Steven Summers, he's the one that directed this movie. He's the one that is gonna at the end, if he actually made it through the end.
Well, we'll say what happens at the end.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a guy who also going to direct on The Mummy,
Hmm.
and he did a few other things. This is like one of his I think better movies. I mean, The Mummy, I liked it for certain reasons, but I like the fact that this is a horror. Like I said, but it's still got a little bit of comedy. It's a dark sci-fi. That's what it is. It's not completely horror. It's not completely comedy. It's a movie like if it's the best way to describe it is like Starship Troopers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good comparison. Another '90s film a few years ago. It's kind of silly with the action in it.
but man, this guy went on to direct Van Helsing as well, and he also directed The Scorpion King. Uh, he also did yeah. Apparently, there's a Scorpion King 4. Did not know that.
Me
And then he,
either.
and then
I
he
bet
did.
it's better than the Meg though.
But this guy also did GI Joe movies, so I don't know. He went from The Mummy, which is like good, and then he went to Van Helsing, and I was like, ugh. And then
I kind of liked Van Helsing once I realized in about 2 minutes that I couldn't take it seriously for what it was. And this movie is like, you know, Van Helsing on a ship, I guess maybe. I don't know. It's just kind of super silly. But it's not like some of the comedies that were out there in the '90s. This one's a little different because it has action, but like I say, they tried to put a lot of CGI in it. It's got a great cast there too. But you had told me something, Doctor, that I did not know about the end. So of course, Treat Williams and Famke on the top end up escaping, and he's like, "Oh, we're stuck here on this island or whatever like that." And she goes to make out with him, and then the dipshit tag-along guy I think washes up on shore, and then you hear something. So tell everybody what's going on in here because I did not know.
well, at the end of this movie, they hear a giant roar, so they're like, because they're like, great, and so as it pans out, zooms out of there, you see the trees moving around and stuff. What it is, that's actually they're on Kong Island. Steven Summers was set to reboot the King Kong franchise, but this movie flopped. So instead, he went on and directed the movie, The Mummy, the year later.
Right, and remember
And maybe,
this is just before Godzilla came out. I think in the summer of '98, that awful, awful,
yeah, yeah,
awful
yeah.
relaunch with Matthew Broderick.
But man, this is the movie's like, to me, this is believable. Like, because there's always been like lores as far as like back in the early days of ships being attacked by giant sea monsters and stuff like this.
It's a
So maybe
throwback
not.
kind of B movie.
Yeah, so maybe not to this extent, but I mean, like 20,000 leagues, man, or that stuff like giant squids. They've been they exist. So I mean, if someone wants to go on the water, go ahead. That's your thing. You're gonna run into the Meg and drown with that.
Yeah, the
Or
Meg was so upsetting that when I watched this, I went, "Yeah," and you had asked me
uh,
offline, "How's this compared to the Meg?" And I'm like, "Well, there's no comparison. The Meg might have made a crap ton of money, and this bombed. This movie's 10 times better than the Meg ever thought could be because it's what the Meg should have been. And here you get everything pretty much that you asked for. And honestly, if you're a young kid, yeah, there's a few scenes that might seem scary or a little gory to you, but it's almost cartoonish in a way, so it's not like violent. It's kind of like over the top where you just don't buy into it. It's not like Rambo or anything. And that being said, the thing that's really good about this movie is not the CGI, because honestly, they didn't use it as much as they probably could have because of the processing power and the cost of it at the time. So they didn't really start using it until about halfway through the film, except for maybe some shots of the ship. But the really good scenes in here, honestly, it's got nothing to do with the people and the guns and the bad guys. It's the fact that the monster, it's like some ancient octopus that came through the deep. That's why it's called Deep Rising, because it rose from the deep.
mhm.
Okay, but the thing is, and I don't know the type of
Yes,
monster it is.
it's some kind of
It
yeah,
sucks you dry as a human. Like it reminds me of like a tarantula. Tarantula will cocoon you, suck all the juice out of you, and then you've got a dried husk there of your corpse. What this does here, and there's a couple scenes, is it just flays the person or whatever, sucks them dry, and that's where you get some of these things. And there's a couple really neat scenes in here where, like, when they first realize there's a monster on board, where they're in the hallway and they see all these corpses laying everywhere, and it's kind of hokey that it's practical effects, but it actually kind of works. And then there's one big scene where you go in there and you can see where most of the entire crew's been eaten by this monster, which actually it's not monsters, they're all parts of this one big monster, is the whole gotcha to it. And he's in the big center area. You go in there and there's these hundreds of bodies, and really they're just all corpses. There's no clothing, there's no jewelry, you just see all these rib cages and arms and half skulls in there. And I'm like, that's actually kind of cool looking. Definitely better looking than anything that was in the Meg. So you get your money's worth for a popcorn film for this just because of that alone.
yeah. The guy actually, what he said, what the monster was, it's an offshoot of the Archaea audio family, and the guy's like, what the hell? Yeah, basically, it's at 4,000 feet, they're as long as a pencil, with body size of a golf ball. At 20,000 feet, but knowing they eat full grown sharks. At 30,000, 40 feet, he's like, well, you do the math. He's like, I told you. The one guy's like, I've done the math. We're all gonna die. But um, I mean, I love the guy, the Australian in here. In the beginning, they're in the ship, they're hauling him before they get to the cruise ship, and they're just making fun of his because he's throwing up. He's like, 'cause the one guy, he's like, he's like, these are all my. I'm gonna go to each continent and like screw all these women and stuff, and he's like, one guy is like, well, I was like, and he's like, well, you never come to my country. He's like, well, I would never go to your. It was like, one guy you brought up is like, well, is it really a country, or is it a continent, Because Australia is just more like an island. He's just basically giving him crap because he's Australian.
And it's so
And
lame.
I know, and he's seasick as it is. So they start talking about eating like fish eyeballs and stuff. And the guy just keeps puking.
Fish eyeballs are a
Or
delicacy, sir. Just don't get the
it
stone
just
or the
sucks.
pit in the middle of it. That's the only thing.
But the kill counts in here are pretty good though. The one thing that kind of threw me off was the elevator. You know, it's like
Yeah,
they're going up, but they're like going down. It's like what?
I know. I couldn't tell either, but it's you check your brain at the door when this movie comes on, and like I say, it doesn't try to do anything too good where it tries to insult you. It knows what it is, and it presents itself as such, and it's very successful in that regard. I don't consider it a serious film in that it's not like the Meg that tried to be this huge blockbuster action thing and end up being a floating turd. It's like after you take a big old steamer and you keep flushing and flushing a toilet and you get that one nugget that won't just flush down there like the Meg. This is much, much better than that. So if you guys need a treat, I mean, there is no substitute. You want to watch Deep Rising. And with that, Doctor, I'll give you the floor for the final thoughts.
I'll just say no. This I'll just say this. Poor Finnegan. This turned out to be one hell of a day for him. I love that quote.
Now what? Well, let me answer that. Now what? We should be going here around 8 o'clock Eastern time here in a little bit. I believe Englantine's stream's going to be the top 10 of, I think we're up to 2017 now because we're trying to finish up the year and then do like a best of decade and some other things that he had planned for it. So look for a stream from that here soon. We're going to be going over that pretty quick too. And as always, thanks for showing up. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the retweets. I put up the Rob's Redskins review. Had some technical difficulties with an update to OBS, so I had to record it offline. That's there. I know some of you guys listen to that as well. Having a fun time doing some of these goofy movies. If you guys got any requests, just let us know. For the doctor, for myself, keep kicking it. Stay extreme. Toodles.
Stay out of the
TTFN.
water.
What?
Stay out of the water.
Go get swimming lessons.
Something tell me it really sucks to be on the water in a cruise ship.
Good night, everybody. Take care.